Hello and welcome back to Flourish by the Fort. My name is Layla and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what seeds I'm going to be sowing at the end of this month or the start of February. I wanted to give you a little bit of an update on our garden because that's probably why you're following us. It's January, there's not a lot happening at the moment. We have done more work to the plot since our last video. The days after our last video, we went back to the garden to do some small jobs here and there. The weather was not on our side. The first day we went back to dig up some raspberry canes with my father-in-law, and I have some video from the car, I think on the second day after that. Welcome back to Flourish by the Fort. It's day 5 today, 5th of January, 5 centigrade. It's a bit colder today. There is a lot of wind, hence the clothes. Just been to buy new wellies because my wellies got a hole in them yesterday and they're about a month old, so that was a wet foot. Yesterday I went up there with my father-in-law and we dug up some raspberry bushes, some raspberry canes. I do want to have raspberries on the plot, but I want to be quite definite with what I want to plant and when I want to harvest things. I would like to have a couple of different varieties up there. Raspberries are my favourite fruit, and yeah, so I would like to plant what I would like to plant up there. I'm not sure what kind they are. They won't go to waste. I would never have wasted them, being my favourite fruit. So they've gone to my in-laws' house, to their garden. We were only up there for not even an hour yesterday, I don't think. It was pretty heavy rain and pretty bad wind. Today's job is to start pruning the apple trees. There's 2 apple trees, 2 different types. They're both fairly old, I think. They've been pruned quite badly in the past. I'm a bit uncertain because I am still very, very, very new to pruning apple trees. I have done R4 at home a few times and they're doing better. But yeah, I find it a bit, it's just new. It's not so easy. These guys are wild. Just looking at the other plot holders going in, they see me talking to myself in the car. I have to get used to it. I never thought I'd have to do a car video, but it's so windy on the plot, you just can't hear anything at all. So this is the only way. I'm not going to film today. I don't have the camera with me. I didn't want to faff around with putting the camera in and out of the bag when it's raining. The wind is so bad, I'm concerned it'd actually blow over. So I'm just going to go up there and do what I can. I've got some new gloves, got new wellies, kitted out, got a cup of tea with me, so we should be able to get some work done today, hopefully. I managed to get back a couple of times to do some pruning on the big apple tree. We made some further decisions on the trees while we were up there. So we had the main apple tree, which was the larger tree of the 2, and the one next to it I also thought was an apple tree, but it turns out it was a weeping crab apple tree. It had some disease on the base and I felt that it was very much in the way of our plan. I had no desire to move any mature trees out of the way. It was very close to the large apple tree and I wasn't really sure how to change that situation. I think it might have been put in place in order to help with pollination because you need 2 apple trees in order to pollinate. However, 2 plots over there's 1 large apple tree and the whole entire allotment complex is filled with apple trees. So I don't think that pollination will be an issue, particularly with the beekeepers that we have on the site. The day that I went back with my father-in-law to clear up the piles of rubbish and debris and branches and roots of yucca plants and brambles that we had made piles of, I asked him to have a look at the weeping crabapple and we decided that we were going to try and remove it. We weren't going to transplant it anywhere. I thought it was going to be too established for that, but it turns out when we actually started to try and remove it, it fell over with a push. So I think it was more disease than I had first thought. So that one has now gone. When I was up pruning the apple tree, I also had a go at digging out some of the Jerusalem artichokes. In Dutch they are aardpeer, and When I said on the previous video that we had some very tall weeds with shallow roots, I was completely wrong. They were Jerusalem artichokes that I was not very familiar with, and they are covering the back half of the plot where we're going to put the shed. We have been doing our best to dig them out, but again, January clay, it's not easy, and ploughing the field as we plan to do is going to be probably spread them around a bit, but we're going to do our best to remove them. I have brought some home to try to eat, but we haven't tried them yet, and I'm not sure that there's something I want to grow on the plot. I don't like invasive plants, so things like those, or ivy, plants that will just grow indiscriminately and take a lot of work to constantly hold them back. I don't want that. They have actually already gone into the neighbour's plot, which is not ideal. I'll try and speak with them at some point to see if we can try and get rid of them if they don't want them, because they'll just come back into ours. Obviously underneath the shed will be fine, but the surrounding bit around our shed, there will be an area going down the side of each side of the shed. And at the back where we have our water butts, I don't want the Jerusalems coming up, Jerusalem artichokes coming up all the time. So we need to try and dig up those. I expect that it will take time, potentially years, to get rid of them because they are rife throughout the plot. So now here we are, we've got a clear plot. We've removed the weeping crabapple, we have removed the yucca plants, we've removed the majority of the large brambles. The smaller ones have been a bit of a problem. The raspberry canes have gone to my in-laws, like you saw from the car video, and now we have a bare plot ready to go. Our next plan is to plough the plot. Now, if any of you know about no dig or anything like that, you'll know that that's probably a bad idea. However, we've got a very large plot, it's very heavy clay, and we have decided to plough the plot for the first time. And then going forward, we're going to use no-dig methods to create our raised beds and to create our paths. I have no desire to dig over the plot every single autumn and winter. It's not fun with heavy clay. So we will be doing no-dig predominantly. However, no-dig requires a lot of cardboard, and I don't have enough cardboard, no matter how much I've been collecting, for 335 square meters. So we're going to be we're having a local person plough over the plot, and this brings us to our next problem. The plot is too wet to plough at the moment. He has said that it needs to be dry, and he has also said that if it's not dry, it at least needs to be frozen. And in January that shouldn't be a problem, but we're having an unusually mild January, which is not great for my impatience. So we're currently waiting for the plot to freeze. After we get the plot ploughed, we plan to then get our shed ordered. We have, I think, finalised which shed that we want, which has got a open seating area next to it. It's quite a big shed. We would then, after we have our shed put up, which sounds like a very quick process, it's not going to be that quick because we need to lay a base as well, we will put up our fence, and then we'll start showing the structure of the garden. Feels like it's a long way off, but I feel like as soon as we can get the ploughing done, we can start moving forward with the rest of the plan. We will of course keep you updated with any of those changes that we make, and we'll film it. Most likely I'll be doing some smaller videos with seeds and some sowing videos until we can get more going with the garden. It feels like it's going a bit too slow for me, but as I've said, quite impatient, so I want to get going with it. I'm keen to get started and for it to start taking shape, so then we can think about what we're planting where. I have in front of me some of the seeds that I plan to sow at the end of this month. Some of them are seeds that would typically be in the ground either over winter, or they are seeds that take longer to germinate, or they take longer to fruit. At the start of the month I was very keen to get going with seeds, but I kind of held off, and now I'm kind of holding back a bit because I don't really enjoy playing windowsill Tetris with lots of plants that need to go out, and typically we can't put a lot of our frost tender plants out until later on in May because some of the nights are still quite cool here. Our last frost date is approximately the end of April, but we can still have colder nights, and some of these plants are not happy with colder nights. The main plant that I will be sowing probably on the last day of January is the sweet pea. I have already autumn sown quite a few varieties. It was my first time autumn sowing with having had some success behind me with the sweet peas. I've tried it in the past and I didn't give enough air to the pots and things went mouldy and it just wasn't pleasant. But last year something clicked and I managed to have quite a good show from my sweet peas. Primarily probably because I followed the guide from Zoe at Swan Cottages. I will link her Instagram or her website down below in the description box, because her grow-alongs are fantastic. You don't have to pay anything to take part in them. She does them on her Instagram stories, but you can also purchase a book from her and she tells you when you should start planting things. And her zone for growing is pretty similar to mine. She's in the south of England, I think. Planted the majority of my sweet pea seeds on the 31st of January last year. I will go through some of the varieties that I'm going to sow. First of all, I got this in a seed swap. This is sweet pea bijou, and from my Google searching it looks like it's a smaller dwarf variety, so I'll probably stick those in some pots. I hadn't planned to sow any more in January, or not very much. However, having the allotment now, I've got a lot more space to sow them on, so that's why I was keen to get going with more. These are, I think, the blues. Yeah, sweet pea, the blues mix. This came in an advent calendar I got gifted in 2020, the very end of 2020, but the seed should be okay. There's not very many seeds in there, I think maybe only 6 or something, but that'll be fine to get another couple of pots going. This one is Sweet Pea Twilight by Mr. Fothergill's. Very nice purple pinks, and there's some sort of stripes on some of the leaves there. I really like those types. This one is Tiller Girls. This is one of the reasons I got back into sweet peas. I tried for years. I grew them at the wrong time. I put them in the wrong soil. I didn't give them enough support. They were weedy, they were horrible. I maybe got 3 flowers off them and you couldn't cut them. They weren't interesting. I saw Tiller Girls on Instagram and I couldn't believe that it was such a beautiful variety. I was only used to the very basic ones. I hadn't looked at them. When I saw these, I was like, I really want to try growing them. And then when I got the advent calendar that had a couple of different varieties, it became more poignant to me to try growing those, because I was gifted those by my mum, who has since passed. I think there will always be a place in my garden for Tiller Girls because it is such a beautiful variety of sweet pea. I don't know what type they are. Doesn't say. You have different types of sweet peas. These are beautiful. If you grow one type of sweet pea, I would probably pop these in, just because they're all different colours as well. They're really nice. This is Sweet Pea Senator. It says it's chocolate coloured. It was very similar to another one I had, which was called Earl Grey, and I had a bit of trouble, and Wiltshire Ripple, so I had a bit of trouble distinguishing them, unfortunately. I'll maybe try and insert some pictures on the screen of them. I'm planning to grow them in different places this time, so I might put Earl Grey in the garden and Senator in the allotment, so that I can actually tell the difference between them this time. They were really nice. They flowered and flowered and flowered, so I was very happy with those ones. This was Sweet Pea Almost Black. Why did I do that? I've only got 2 seeds left. Okay. This one was one of the worst to grow last year, and had it not performed eventually, I would have not sown them again. The seedlings were very small. They were very thin, straggly. They had the same care as all the other ones, and I have noticed that my next batch are not much better. So I think the variety is not very strong or vigorous. I'm not sure. It did produce beautiful flower, and it was indeed almost black, and I have a thing for black flowers, and typically they're not very black at all, so that's why I went for this one. I have, just in case it's not worked out, and I showed this in my last video for my Seedaholics seed haul, also ordered Black Knight, so I want to see how they compare And it's a really nice one. I haven't sown any of this for autumn sown because I received them recently, so I will be planting these. There's 30 seeds in this particular packet, and I will probably do 9 or something like that. This is Wiltshire Ripple, and it's a really beautiful one. They all are. And this is the other one that I had issues with telling apart from Earl Grey and Senator. So yeah, again, I might try and keep them more separate. I did label them last year, but my labels faded. I do have new pens I got for my birthday, so hopefully they work. This one doesn't have a picture, but this is Sweet Pea Earl Grey. We'll try and insert a picture. I got these from Plants of Distinction in the UK. They're a really nice seed company. And I was so keen to grow these that I got 2 packets to make sure. So I have plenty left to sow this season. These ones I haven't sown before, and I haven't autumn sown them either. And I'm not going to try and say the name, but I am going to sow a couple of these this year. And this one also doesn't have a picture. This is Sweet Pea Turquoise Lagoon. Now, I have not had the best germination rate with these guys. And in one pot I had 3 seeds, and only 1 seedling came up and a slug took the top of it. The other pot I have, I think 2 out of 3 have germinated, and someone has since told me that they also didn't find them a very strong variety. However, they are like, if a mermaid made a sweet pea, there would be this colour, this sort of turquoisey colour and purple, so I really hope that they do actually perform. That is all my sweet peas that I want to talk about, and I have a few random flowers, but first coffee. Right, that's not flower. I have some teasel seeds, which I was gifted from somebody from Instagram. If you're watching, thank you very much. I put a call out there saying I was looking for a couple of different types of seeds, and they had collected themselves, and there are lots of seeds in here, probably hundreds. I have grown teasel in the past from wild collected seed in the garden. They're a bit spiky, which is very nice. They're very beautiful. They're one of my favourite wildflowers, I think. They're so... I love the structure of them and how they look and how they flower, and the seeds are good for birds as well. Pollinators like them. They're a bit spiky to handle and move or transplant, so for that I would try and probably plant them in place. I'm most likely going to sow these direct at the allotment as soon as it has been ploughed and we know where the beds are. We'll see how that goes. I've got some snapdragons. Snapdragons can be autumn started, but I have spring started seeds from these before and they worked out completely fine. So I'm going to do that. The instructions on here from my friend Sarah say February, but you can do them anytime. They're completely hardy, so I can do them in winter as well. I was going to say that the sweet peas are hardy down to -5, so you can leave them out all winter. Mine are in a small greenhouse. I leave the roof open most of the time so that they're really nice strong plants. However, if it does get down to minus temperatures, I close it. If it were to get very low minus temperatures, like below -5, I would probably take them in into a more sheltered area or into the house overnight, just so that they don't freeze completely. I believe that snapdragons can freeze completely, but I'm not entirely sure. I got these seeds from a seed swap box, so I've got some delphiniums, which I think might need to be started soon, and crocosmia. I didn't know you could even start these from seeds. I only know to buy them as tubers. So I think that they could probably go into the ground now, because these are hardy perennials, so they could probably, as if the seed had dropped on the ground in your borders, they could probably survive over winter. And most likely, I have a feeling that if I sow these now, that they might not actually flower this year, maybe the next year, but I'm not entirely sure about that. This is, both of these, wild carrot, or Dorcas carota, purple kisses. This is also purple kisses, but it doesn't say. These are seeds that I was gifted, and these are seeds from from a seed company. I have really good luck with this company. They're called Janssen Seeds. They're based in the Netherlands. But I sowed some of these in autumn, and only one has come up. I have 2 more look like they're germinating now, but I'm not entirely sure they're not weed seeds. They have to have cold stratification in order to germinate. We have had cold temperatures. We have had minus temperatures. I think we've had one hard frost, but nothing lengthy. And I think that's maybe what these seeds are looking for. I might try putting these in the freezer. I have heard some people put the seeds in the freezer and or the fridge, and some people actually sow them and then put them in the fridge for 3 weeks. I'm not having pots of compost in my fridge for 3 weeks. I'll knock them over. So I might try sowing some more, and I might sprinkle some direct as well. I have 2 reasons for wanting to sow these. I love wild carrot. I think it looks beautiful. It looks fantastic in a wildflower bouquet. It looks nice in the garden. Fantastic for pollinators, and I want swallowtail butterflies in my garden. We had one visitor last year, and their primary food source for the caterpillars is wild carrot. So they really like wild carrot. You often see them around areas that they have a lot of that growing in verges. So I would like to try and keep them in the garden, and I also put some of these at the allotment as well. I know for a fact that the caterpillars are at the allotment, but the lady I spoke to hasn't seen any butterflies up there, so I would like to try and tempt them into my garden. This is spinach, and it was given to me by a friend in an advent calendar, and it's called Early Giant, and apparently it's got really big leaves, so I want to have a go at this. We do eat spinach in the house, and also like it in smoothies, so I would like to give this a go, and failing that, if it goes wrong, my chickens like it. This pile here are the ones that I could do with getting started in the next week. I have aubergine seeds, aubergine egg, also from an advent calendar from my friend. There are 6 seeds in here. I probably won't sow all of those. I haven't grown aubergine before, and I am tomato and chilli obsessed with growing, so they will take up valuable space. These guys are the nightshade family. I'm not going to grow them at the allotment. There is issue with Colorado beetle at the allotment, and they like plants from the nightshade family. I'm not sure if they go for tomatoes and aubergines. I know they like potatoes, so I'm just going to grow these. Anything growing in pots is mostly going to be grown at home because I have a hose here. There is not water access at the allotment, so I'm going to grow these here. Give them a go. And this is all my chili seeds. Now, some of these you saw in the last video. So these seeds are both types of like bell peppers, or in Dutch paprikas. This is Zulu, which goes very dark. It's either red or like a dark brown black colour. I like funky coloured vegetables. It's the only reason I'm growing it, not gonna lie. Oda, not sure how you say it. This one's really weird. Pinks and purples and reds. It does ripen to a bit of a yucky brown, especially on the inside, but I am curious, and I think it will look really pretty on the plant. These are some Hungarian Hot Wax from my friend's advent calendar. She has said that they're not very hot. They're mixed colour chilies. I don't like super hot ones, so this is all good. Only the hot ones go in sauces. So maybe they'll do for salads or pickling. I was gifted these ones from a seed order. This is Padron. I think I have 10 seeds in here. It says hot pepper on it, but they're not that hot. I think they're about jalapeno hot heat, so I'll grow a few of these. I'm probably just going to do maybe 2 or 3 of each one, see how they go over February, and if I have any germination issues, I might do a second sowing. These are Kashmiri Chilies, which were self-harvested from a friend's garden. They have said that they are really tasty, they're really good for drying, but they're also really good for stews, and they're not spicy. I had some Goan curry pulled beef, and these were in it, and it was amazing, so I'm very excited about these. They are a standard red chili looking chili. These ones are from Janssen Seeds. They don't do pictures. It's my only complaint about this company. I like pictures. I find it a lot easier. Same with Vertilome as well. I find it easier just to quickly grab what I'm looking for, and it looks nice. But these are merino. Sometimes in salad bars at supermarkets or in deli deli areas and supermarkets, you'll find little red peppers, which are spicy but a bit sweet, and they're often in oil filled with cream cheese. This is this type. So I would like to have a go at doing this ourselves because I don't want to buy plastic pots with peppers in. So this is why I've bought this variety. There are 20 seeds in here, so I will probably grow maybe around 5 of these. This is a new variety as well. This is sweet banana. That's what it says on the tin. I believe it is a sweet pepper. I can't remember, I bought these ages ago. It's yellow. This one is pepper candy cane red. I grew these last year and I actually ended up buying more pepper seeds because I thought the plants were diseased. I hadn't read on the description that they're variegated, so I eventually realised that and enjoyed growing the bushes. They got really big, the bushes, and eventually they did fruit quite well, but they were late. We had a really bad summer last year in terms of sun and too much rain, and I also planted them in our raised beds which had new compost in it, and I do believe that it had a bit too much nitrogen in it and created too many leaves on the plants. So when it actually started to die down a bit and they did start to fruit, it was just a bit late in the season. All the fruits I had off it were horrifically bitter. I was actually just going to grow this for the foliage this year and just plant it in the garden or have it in some pots dotted around, but I'm going to give it a go after speaking to some people that had really good success with this. I'm going to give this a go again and hopefully starting it a bit earlier. I do believe I did start it in mid to late February last year, so if I start these, I'm hoping that they've got a chance and maybe we'll have a warmer year. Failing that, I will stick them under cover. I'm not going to plant them in the ground in the raised beds this time. I'm going to put them in a pot. I find that chilies like to be a bit stressed, so if I put them in pots and then stick them close by each other, hopefully they'll do good. Chilies like to hold hands, they say, so if you put the leaves next to each other. So yeah, pepper candy cane red. These are a sweet salad pepper. And that's it for today. I have gone through some of the seeds that I'll be starting mid to end of this month.